Peygamberler neden sadece Orta Doğuya gönderildi?
It's an interesting question. The question seems to presume that prophets were sent only to the Middle East. However, the Quran tells us that God had sent prophets to every people. So we can imagine that prophets have been sent throughout the world and throughout time, so that everybody would have been privy to divine revelation and divine guidance. There's no reason why God would favor only one particular region of the world. It is true that the prophets that are known to us in the Quran are either prophets who were sent to Arabia or to the Middle East more generally. For example, the prophets of Israel. Some 25 prophets are named in the Quran, and most of them are the prophets who are known from the Bible, and some are known from Arab history. But the Quran tells us that God had sent prophets to all people in the languages, speaking the languages of various people, so that everyone could hear the message of God. So that makes it possible for Muslims to think about great figures of the world as being possibly prophets. Now, of course, much of what we know about many of the heroes and founders of world religions may make us feel that, okay, their teachings are so different from the teachings of Islam that it's hard to see how they might have been prophets. But I ask Muslims to think about Jesus in particular. If we didn't know in detail about the teachings of Jesus from the Quran, and we only heard from our Christian friends that Jesus taught that he taught people that he is God, and he taught people that he would die for the sins of humankind, and other such core Christian doctrines, Muslims might think, okay, Jesus could not have been a prophet of God, because how could a prophet of God teach all of these things? But because we know of Jesus from the Quran in detail, we know that he did not teach these things, and these are doctrines that developed after he left the scene. And so we can affirm without hesitation that Jesus, on whom be peace, is a prophet and messenger of God. In a similar way, the teachings of other great prophets in history could have been distorted in the recollections of his later followers, and maybe now the followers paint those prophets in an image that is difficult for Muslims to absorb, and for Muslims to see how those could have really been prophets of God. However, if we take away that veneer that has been laid on by later followers, maybe we will find that these figures from history, heroes and founders of the world's great religions, were in fact prophets of God, teaching something very similar to what Muslims teach today as part of our core doctrine. So the simple answer to the question, why were prophets sent only to the Middle East, is that prophets were sent not only to the Middle East, but to all regions of the world and in all times, so that everyone was privy to divine revelation. So that's my answer to that question. Peace be with you and the mercy of God. I'm your brother in faith, Shabir Ally. I'm speaking to you in Istanbul from Science, Philosophy, Religion Foundation. Assalamu alaikum.